I am just so honored. It is my great privilege to welcome our keynote speaker for today's event, Christian evangelist and author, Dr. Alveda C. King. Dr. King, everybody.
Okay, stay up, stay up. She has an introduction for me, so you'll just have to read that online. We'll skip it since you're staying up. The Colorado Parent Advocacy Network, CPAN. At CPAN, we can. Whose children are they? How about that? All right. Yeah, you can clap on that one. That's all right. At CPAN, we can. Whose children are they? Of course, they're God's children, and God blesses us as parents to bring them into the world and raise them. And to now see parents empowered and engaged is absolutely marvelous. I've got some prepared remarks, and I'm going to do that. But I do want to emphasize that it is true. COVID was real bad, but it did have a silver lining, because parents were at home and they were engaged in the activities of their children, and they found out what their children were being taught. I won't say learned. I guess they did learn a little of it, unfortunately, in school. And so last winter, around January, February, I guess, and we were shaking off COVID a little bit, and we were waking up, and a marvelous phone call came to me. Alex Camper, I said that wrong, from AFPI, called and said, Dr. King, will you talk to some ladies? They're just real concerned. I said, well, sure. And we got on Zoom, and we began to pray first. I probably sang on that call a little bit. I always do. And I found out that America's parents were waking up and becoming engaged, a little enraged, but engaged. And so this powerful group was formed. And from, how many women were there on the call? 4 women, and now we have a room full of people. Give God the glory, please. I'm honestly humbled. I'm really humbled. Education is a civil rights issue of our time. It's one of the biggest civil rights issues. I would say that life from the womb to the tomb into eternity is as well, but to me it all goes together. So I'm glad to see you here today, and I want to encourage you. Now, no issue is more important than education, which has recently been thrust into the national spotlight. More and more parents like you are becoming aware of the realities of what's going on in our nation's schools, where children are taught vulgar gender ideologies, hateful racial theories, and general disrespect for everyone in our nation. We have to remember that things weren't always this way. As a nation founded upon the ideals of freedom, equality, and self-governance, our founding fathers recognized that public education and a well-formed citizenry were necessities for a long-lasting republic. Maybe I need a speech therapist. Republic. Okay. Okay. Well, let's just, yeah, I'm a little emotional too, because as I'm thinking and seeing all of you, I'm very excited. When a nation is founded on the principles of self-government, it only stands to reason that those citizens must be properly educated so they may know how to effectively govern themselves when they grow up. Unfortunately, we have abandoned that ideal in America today, but we are waking up. Education officials right now place more emphasis on agendas such as equity and social justice than on quality education and equality. Many American parents assume that regardless of political fights, their children must be off limits, but the onset of COVID-19 changed everything. When schools sent the children home for remote learning, parents were given a wake-up call when they saw their children's assignments and overheard their classes. The radical left has divided this nation by promoting Marxist ideologies such as critical race theory. This theory divides innocent children as either oppressors or oppressed based upon the color of their skin, teaching them that our nation's history is one of nothing but hatred and oppression. Nothing can be further from the truth. It doesn't stop there. The left is now sexualizing our children by teaching content that is inappropriate for their innocent minds and encouraging them to explore their sexual identities, all under the disguise of inclusiveness and equity. Of course, parents don't want this nonsense in schools. You can clap on that one, right? You don't. You don't. In fact, approximately 3 out of 4 parents believe that our founding ideals of liberty and equality are true, and that American history should not be reframed, only completed. 80% oppose using classrooms to promote political agendas, and nearly 70% oppose school teaching that America was founded on racism. We certainly were not. We absolutely were not. Many education officials, school board members, and unions recognize that parents have these concerns, and that is why they've done all they can to hide their agenda. They have done so by using code words such as social and emotional learning, equity, action civics, and other phrases to conceal their true intentions for our children. In an effort to push a radical agenda on our children, the left has ignored the data and evidence that our schools are failing our children. Many students, particularly in our undeserved communities, continue to fall behind, all while the left claims to stand up for minorities. You see, they're saying one thing and meaning exactly the opposite. The solutions? Never cite a problem without a solution, because there are solutions, and here we are. The problems with public schooling are both abundant and apparent, so that begs the question to all of us, what do we do about it? That goes along with the question, whose children are they? What do we do about it? Ask questions. Be ready with solutions and answers. We need an honest teaching of history in our schools, not a political agenda set by education officials. Honest teaching means telling the true story of America and our founding. It does not mean leaving out the bad moments in our history, because they say if you don't teach something, it'll happen again. So you have to teach it, but teach the good as well. So what we simply mean is to teach the good, the bad, and the ugly, but most importantly, sharing how this nation has always prevailed and strived to live up our founding ideal of equality. I think a lot of folks in this room probably already agree with that. So the next question becomes, how do we get there? And along with that question, whose children are they? I'm going to keep asking that. I love that. I've adopted that, okay? At the end of the day, God commissioned parents to be engaged, to be the guardians of our children, not the government. We also must protect parents' rights to know that our children are learning and give them a voice in deciding what is best for our children through curriculum transparency and accountability. One other major avenue for reform is driving participation in local school board elections. Woo, woo, woo. That's all right, I'm hearing that. As a matter of fact, there were 200 new school board seats in the last election. Now, that's nonpartisan, so we can't say we flipped any seats. Of course, we did not flip any seats. We found that there are 200 more parents and community leaders who are concerned and interested. That's really good, okay? Across the country are approximately 100,000 elected school board members. They make up the largest group of elected officials in the nation, but school board elections consistently have one of the smallest voter turnouts. We all really need to change that. And we did somewhat. That's how we see the change that we're getting. This has allowed special interest groups and unions to have an outsized influence on our education system, all at the expense of the parents. So many parents are taxpayers, and we're paying to hurt our children. Oh, Lord, help. Okay? We need more parents like yourselves to get out and vote in school board elections and to run for school board seats. Be engaged, further engaged, in helping your children, our children. Of course, no discussion of fixing our education system would be complete without mentioning some of conservatism's most successful solutions to our failing schools, namely school choice and access to charter schools. Go ahead. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We agree that every student deserves access to a quality education that provides the knowledge and skills necessary for a successful career and fulfilling life. But many children in America are still assigned to schools that do not meet their individual needs, and many parents are limited in their ability to move to a new community for a different school. In the video that we saw, the mother jailed because she tried to work it out so her kids could go to a better school. Put a mom in jail for trying to get a good education for her children. My goodness, my goodness. All right. Parental school choice allows families to take education dollars for their children to an approved education provider of their choice. This makes such good sense. Healthy competition makes for excellent service. We know that. Yep, absolutely. For America's education of our children to succeed, we must unite. We are the one blood human race. We're not separate races. We sometimes say, okay, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Acts 17:26, of one blood God made all people to live together on the face of the earth. So ethnicity is important. Now, this is not in my notes, so bear with me on this one. Let me see. You have on a green coat, madam. I think it's an off-white or beige or ivory jacket and some nice slacks and a red purse. What color is your skin? I can't see. I'm colorblind. Now, did that just make sense to anybody? I can see everything else, but I cannot see the color of her skin. Sometimes if I look a little more closely, I can say, what's your ethnicity? Go back a few generations. So who are you? Now, they've got a new thing out about the 23 or the 23rd, and I was with some of my friends, and by the time we looked at them, I said, you guys are mutts. And so, but we really looked at it this way, honest to goodness. My grandfather, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Sr., his grandfather, Nathan Branham King, came from County Cork, Ireland, in Ireland. My grandmama's grandparents, Alberta Williams King, Daddy King married her. Her folks came off the west coast of Ghana. My mom's dad, Square Reese, was part Cherokee. So I used to ask people, so what race am I? Yeah. I said, I'm human, so are you. So we're one blood and one human race, so to be arguing with people over skin color. But to deny skin color denies all of our histories, all of our pain, and all of our victories. So we have to be honest, and that's what we mean about honest truth in our schools. Just honest, tell what happened. But there's so much good that way, way, way outweighs the bad. So we have to do that. We are the one blood human race, and what we have in common far more outweighs our differences. My uncle, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., my dad is his brother, Reverend A.D. King. They were civil rights warriors. My grandparents, Daddy King and Mama King, and here I am today with you. Uncle M.L. once said, the function of education is to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, he said, is the true goal of education. And that is what we are demanding today. We've recently abandoned this formula, but there's no reason we cannot win it back, and we are winning it back. By championing the sort of policies that increase transparency, empowers parents, promotes school choice, and instill a love of country, we can someday have a nation that puts all of our children first and embraces human dignity from the womb to the tomb into eternity. I just have a couple of minutes left, and I'd like for you to hold hands if you want to with the person next to you. If you don't like them, just smile. We'll never know the difference. Let me get you to come on back up with me. Come on back. Come on. Because I have to demonstrate it. I'm going to do a little verse in here. And it's a play acting verse. And so, but look, this little light of mine, and probably you all learned it when you were little in school. And so hold hands and sing with me just a little bit. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Now here's the play acting, and I really do love you. I really do. So, but I'm going to sing it this way because this is for somebody who needs to hear this. Lori, this is for you. If your light won't shine, please don't put out mine. Oh. If your light won't shine, tell your neighbor, please don't put out mine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Now here's the last verse, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. If your light won't shine, I'll share some of mine. Oh, if your light won't shine, I will. I'll share some of mine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. God bless all of you.